Hi dear friends, welcome to the CSS Learners Academy. As we all know that the region is changing and it is changing at a very fast pace. We can say that it is a kind of dramatic change of events that we have seen not only on the neighboring countries of Pakistan but all around the region. Today we are going to discuss how this changing is taking place and what are the responsibilities of all the players involved in it. If you have not subscribed to the channel until this moment, I would like you to subscribe and please click on the bell icon so that you must get a notification whenever a new lecture is uploaded. So I have divided today's lecture into a country-wise divide. We will assess the policies of different countries, the domestic policy and the foreign policy. And then in the concluding remarks, I will give my own analysis about this changing dynamics of our region. So first of all, let's talk about the eastern neighbor of Pakistan, which is India. We have seen that in the recent years, India has been going further towards isolation because of the domestic and foreign policy. So here I have pointed out some of the mistakes that have been made by the Indian policymakers and how it is affecting the overall Indian reputation. First of all, we see in the July 2018 when the current administration of Modi government has issued a final draft of NRC, which is the National Register of Citizens. And in this National Register of Citizens, out of a total number of 32 million people of Assam, 4 million were stripped of their Indian citizenship, most of them being Muslims. Now the people who are living in Assam were basically migrated from Bangladesh in the aftermath of 1971 war, and they have been residing there and considered as the Indian citizens until NRC. And it is not the only thing. In the next year, what we have seen is the Citizenship Amendment Act. The Citizenship Amendment Act passed in December 2019 says that all the people who have migrated from the Muslim neighboring countries before 2014 and are residing in India will now be considered as the citizens of India except Muslims. So after that, we see a kind of resentment among all the people of India who have come out to the streets and are protesting against these moves of the Modi government. Obviously, it clearly demonstrates that these moves do not have the back of the population. And then third and the most important thing is the judgment Babri Mosque case. Babri Mosque was not only a mosque which was important for the Indian Muslims, but it was a kind of a monument important for all the Muslims all around the world. Babri Mosque was built by the Mughal Emperor Babur, and that's why it was named as Babri Mosque. Babri Mosque was built sometimes around as the Hagia Sophia of Turkey. Both of these monumental mosques have importance for Muslims all around the world. But in 1992, we see that the hooligans of BJP attacked the mosque and it was demolished. There was an outrage not only in India but in Pakistan and other parts of the world. The Muslims filed a case and now the decision have been announced in 2019 that a mosque cannot be rebuilt at that place, and instead it was given to a temple. It was given to Hindus to build a temple. This is a kind of surprising decision that has been given by the Supreme Court of India and backed by the Modi government. So you see that this kind of anti-Muslim narrative is building stronger and stronger. And the communities in India fear that after Muslims they are going to be targeted, like we see in the case of Sikh community and in the case of Christians. They are already showing their solidarity with Muslims against this Hindutva ideology, and many of the Hindus believe that if this situation continues, it is negatively affecting the reputation of India. And on the foreign policy front, we see that India is getting isolated day by day. Their policy inside Afghanistan have backfired. Their policy to engage with Iran have backfired. Their policy to balance between, or I can say that the policy of balancing between Iran and Saudi Arabia, balancing between USA and Russia have backfired. And now we see the complete isolation of India in this region. India is engaged in border dispute with almost all the neighboring countries. The first thing is India-Bangladesh border dispute. In the aftermath of 1971 war, we have seen that there was a contract between India and Bangladesh signed in 1974. The contract would be for the next 25 years, and it is known as the Boundary Agreement, LBA, Land Boundary Agreement. This agreement was basically to safeguard the sanctity of the borders of countries. But when India captured Sikkim, Bangladesh came to know about the expansionist designs of India, and that's why there was a kind of fear in the government of Bangladesh that India is not a reliable partner, and the agreements that they have made, they can be scrapped anytime whenever India feels militarily powerful. Therefore, now we see that the situation is changing. With the growing relationship between Bangladesh and China, the Indo-Bangladesh relationship is deteriorating. The border dispute of India with Bhutan. The boundary line between India and Bhutan was refined in 1973 to 1984 period. Several rounds of talks were held between the administration of Bhutan and India. But the regions of Sarbhang and Gyalagfug remain unidentified, and this is the territory which borders the Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh is a state which is already contested by China. The third thing is border dispute with Nepal. Kalapani is an area under territorial dispute in Darshula district of Sudhar Paschim Pradesh, Nepal, and Pithoragarh district of Uttarakhand, India, and this area is round about 400 square kilometers. This area is occupied by India and it is claimed by Nepal as their own territory. Recently, Nepal has issued a political map and it shows Kalapani as their territory. It means that this area, which is a territorial dispute between both countries, can be a point of escalation. Next is the border dispute with China. We know that there is an area of around about 35,000 square kilometers, which is a border which is known as line of actual control. Line of actual control is the disputed border between India and China. There was a war of 1962, the Sino-Indian War, which was fought on the same grounds, and now we see that this situation is even getting far worse. The fourth point is the border dispute between India and Pakistan, which is on the line of control. The line of control is a boundary line between Indian occupied and Azad Kashmir. The issue of Kashmir dates back to 1947, which I will discuss in a separate lecture. But here, as we are talking about the dispute of India with several countries, this is a bone of contention. This is the flashpoint, and unless international community made sincere efforts to sort out some kind of solution to this problem, this will always remain a flashpoint. This will always be a very sensitive issue for both countries. And recently we have seen a report which was published on 8th of October 2020 in the Foreign Policy. I have uploaded this report on my blogger. The report clearly demonstrates how Indians are involved in the state-sponsored terrorism and how these militant outfits are basically impressed by the ideology of BJP. The next thing is the India-Iran relations. We see that the India-Iran relations are deteriorating because of the two important factors. Number one is that India and Iran have had a contract on the port of Chabahar, and as soon as there was a contract on the other hand, we see that Saudi Arabia offered to invest in an oil refinery, to build an oil refinery amounting to $44 billion. India accepted that investment, and now Saudi Arabia is building the oil refinery. Iran and Saudi Arabia are rival countries. So when you are engaged with one of them, you cannot engage with the other country. That is a kind of hypocrisy that India is a master of. But now, as I have said earlier, that this policy has backfired, number one. Number second is that when United States imposed unilateral sanctions on Iran because of JCPOA, and JCPOA, when Iran is complying and all the other powers are saying regularly that Iran is complying with all the points of agreements of JCPOA, United States says that no, we are not going to be a part of this deal any further. It was in the year 2017 when President Donald Trump announced that America is not going to be a part of JCPOA any further, and other countries, if they are going to involve in any kind of agreement with Iran, any kind of trade with Iran, sanctions will be imposed on those countries as well. India was one of the countries who was the third largest importer of oil from Iran after the sanctions were removed in the aftermath of JCPOA. But after this announcement, when President Donald Trump said that we are going to sanction India, Iran was of the view that as these American sanctions are unconstitutional, illegal in the ambit of international law, therefore countries should not follow or should not help United States in the successful implementation of these sanctions. But India, under the US pressure, scrapped the deal between India and Iran, and they stopped importing oil from Iran. This was a kind of a backstroke to the Indo-Iran relationship. So what is happening on the Indian-Russia forum? Russia is considered as an ally of India, especially after signing of the defense agreement in 1970s. Now we see that Russia is very careful about how they should move further in their policy. Russia under President Putin have transformed up to a greater extent, and now Russia has always remained a great power, but now in this region, Russia is very, very careful about their moves, about selecting their allies or their foes. Now, in the case of Syria, we have seen that they were standing with Syria and they have helped Syria even militarily after 2015 against their war with Daesh. And then we have seen in the case of Turkey, being a partner of United States, not only downed a Russian plane, Sukhoi Su-24, but also the Russian ambassador was killed in Turkey. But Russia did not take aggressive moves, and now we see that Turkey and Russia are partners. So this kind of strategic thinking of Putin shows that Russia is in the in a kind of transformation, and now Russia is taking very smart decisions in formulating their foreign policy. India, which was always in a kind of hallucination that whatever they do, Russia will always stand with them. But now, in the recent China-India conflict on the line of actual control, we have seen that Russia have stated very clearly that we are going to help India unless India understands that being a part of the Western bloc, none of the country will be supported by this bloc. This bloc, which includes China, Russia, Turkey, Pakistan, Malaysia and Iran. These are the 6 countries of Asia forming a new bloc. So now any country who is not in this bloc and is ensuring their standing with the Western blocs are not going to be a part of any country and will not be helped. So this behavior of Russia was never ever witnessed by India. But the Indian policymakers are not understanding the consequences of being standing with the Western partners in this sensitive moment. We have seen recently that India have signed a deal with United States. Now that is another blow to the Indo-Russian relations and to Indo-Iran relations and to Indo-China relations.